special event alert.
Yeah, my dog got out and I couldn't get him back in the house. Excuse number 253.
And for why you're late for changeover, your weekly space news and variety show. I'm your host, Marty Smith, and I'm joined by the ever faithful man in the closet, Jake Wall.
Awesome to see you, Marty. Too bad the other guys are off messing around.
Screw them, they're unreliable. We're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all Guardians and to the other lower branches as well. So take your seats, get informed, and have a laugh as we present Late for Changeover.
Nice.
That's a little golf clap.
There was much rejoicing.
I know, it's so lame. I gotta update the sound effect. If I had a guy who could do that, and I watch some of these content creators on YouTube, and their shit's all slicked up, and they got it intercut, with scenes and stuff like that. And I'm like, you ain't doing it yourself, because I know how long that takes. That takes forever to do that.
Maybe they don't have a normal job.
If they're making money, if we could make money, we wouldn't have a normal job.
Then it would become a chore. It wouldn't be just a pleasant bullshit session.
It would be a labor of love. I would still not require anything you do because you're so talented with no prep.
For a reference, Marty sends out at least a day ahead of time, a minimum a day or two ahead of time.
Sometimes the night before.
Yeah.
But I know you're not going to read them.
But you send, that's exactly it. You send like 5 or 6 like articles out, and I think twice in all of our 60 some odd episodes, like twice. I gotta be honest. And then you've commented on it both times. I'm like, oh yeah, this is why that's important.
Look, yeah, that's why I prep, because I know you got opinions on it. And,
I just throw them out. I'll just throw them out anyway.
And once upon a time, I should hearken back to when you guys were supposed to find a story yourself. And how
we got tired of you shooting him down. We got like, all right, fine, we're done getting shot down. So,
that's not true. You just were done trying to look, and that's okay because you're doing it of your own. You're giving of yourself. So I'm like, I can't task them that much. I mean, so I was like, I'm just happy that you guys are on, because otherwise it'd be me trying to carry a show and I can't do it.
It's good. And then you'd have to be like Adam Carolla, where he's just bitching and moaning about his own.
Well, he does. Yeah, he does.
That's why that takes skill, though.
And I don't have that skill, because I'd make jokes that require somebody else's reaction. I'd be like, this is not going
lame.
No, it's dumb.
You could be like Bill Burr and just rant hard.
I listened to his straight. What's his Monday morning podcast, whatever that thing is. I've heard him and I like listening to him. I like his opinion. But sometimes he's just rambling, and it's just like that's too much. You don't have my interest on this.
But he's going hard for 45 minutes. I'm like, I would run out of stuff.
Yeah, Bill Burr,
not that angry.
Adam Carolla do that. There's several that can get off on a tangent and just go, and it's entertaining to listen to. I would like to, but I need feedback.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, let's get into this week's goofiness. This first one's from stripes.com, and it's kind of lame, to be honest with you, but it's a space story. All right. So Space Force will play a role in the 60th presidential inauguration. And that makes sense because Trump created them. So he's like, I want my boys right out here, right? So Space Force Guardians will participate fully in the 60th presidential inauguration on January 20th in Washington, a significant milestone for the youngest branch of the military, which was created during President-elect Donald Trump's first administration. 45 Guardians from across the country arrived recently at Joint Base Anacostia Bowling for training to augment the U.S. Space Force Honor Guard and march alongside units during the presidential inauguration. 45.
Nice.
How'd they get
Yeah.
TDY money for 45 guys, girls?
We're printing stuff on blue paper. Or yellow or pink or whatever.
I mean, they just send in like every base just sends like your airman of the year. It's like, oh, you get to go to DC. Good for you.
That would be cool if they did that.
Do you remember there was a time at Buckley, and I can't remember if it was yearly or quarterly, but like the winners got to go ride in a Black Hawk, or they would get an incentive ride or something like that. Those were the days, right? Those were the times, man.
I got to Buckley had that squadron right there.
Yeah,
right?
They have the National Guard there, and they also have the Army National Guard. I got to ride in a Black Hawk, and these guys were crazy. The National Guard guys were crazy.
That's awesome.
The Guardians will go through an intensive 12-day training period during which they will get instruction to meet the fundamentals of serving in an honor guard. 12 days?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like stand there and don't move.
No, they got to march.
You got to start again.
Oh, man. They got to march around. They got to salute at the right time. They got to.
Are they going to do like a review of troops? Are they going to go by like a unit?
Oh,
you think?
my goodness. Do you think that?
Are you kidding me? The eyes right and shit like that. March. When I got promoted to E8, right? I was like, I'm going to show them how to do a real promotion. And I was like, I want a formation. I want to present arms and stuff like that. And I've got a video of it. It was the most awkward.
Shit show.
It was a shit show.
That's why they got to do 12 days worth of it.
People were like saluting beforehand. I was like, no. Like, that was terrible. I was like, I don't know what I thought I was going to do.
But it was a skill to form people up. Because at AETC, it was kind of cool because at the schoolhouse, like once a month, we would do retreat. You know, we'd all go out there, and all the schoolhouse squadrons would form up.
Oh, wow.
And we would all salute the flag as it was you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was, unless you practiced, man, forming up.
It's like a bad movie, right? It's like, oh my God. Why are we doing this?
I think the last formation we did was on Peterson. Man, I can't remember what year it was, but we did it. We did one on Peterson.
Okay.
And it had multiple squadrons out there, and they had to like some band members or something.
Yeah.
And they had guys in the back ready to grab those dudes that fell out and
because they're locking their knees and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and we practiced 3 or 4 times before that, and we still had like the trumpet kid. I felt so bad for him because he's sitting there, and it was hotter that day than normal other days.
Yeah,
and he's sitting there, and he's got his mouthpiece like right here. And he's holding it
straight
down.
And
he just goes dink and straight forward.
Yeah.
And it was on grass, thankfully.
Yeah.
But he just goes boom straight on top of his instrument. And everybody, there were some people that flinched and were ready to go, and they rolled him over, and he split his lip. And I was like, oh, that poor dude.
You know, but that happens now. To all the services who are watching, but like, oh, pussy Air Force. It's like, no, because I was in the Army when I saw the same exact thing happen.
Oh,
nobody stands at attention for a long period of time. No service does it. And
it takes practice, honestly.
Yeah,
like it takes practice.
Because you got to know how to flex and kind of wiggle in place to like relieve your body. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. So I don't fault them at all.
The one Marine out there is like, pussies. Like, okay, fine. All right.
Right.
Okay, that was the 45 minutes of my month that I wasn't in AC. Okay. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. But everybody goes, I was listening to a podcast with, I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Peranto. He was part of that 13 hours. They call him
oh yeah.
Tonto, right?
Yeah, Tonto.
Um, and he was saying, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. But one, they make fun of the Air Force and all that stuff, but he remembers going to like an Air Force barracks, and he was so appreciative of the room that he got.
Yeah.
This was afterwards, and he goes, "Man, that was nice." He goes, "That was nice. I'm
Yeah.
not going to criticize those guys." And it's like, hey, you do what you can. I mean, I understand that, but there's no requirement
No.
to rough it. So,
I mean, other than the fact that we don't make rank as fast as any of the other branches.
yeah, because we're so small, right? We
Yeah,
were small.
but that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get paid the same. We
Yeah.
we get better facilities, or we used to have better chow halls. We have better barracks.
Used to, right.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing. You can get paid a lot being a garbage man, or you can get paid a lot working in front of a computer. It's just, which choice do you want to make? That's what I always tell them. I was like, oh, you Air Force pussies. And I was like, you had a choice not to go sleep in the dirt.
And honestly, all those Army guys, like all of the Army personnel, or sometimes Navy people, you ask their kids or ask them who they're going to push their kids, what
they're
branch,
not going to tell them to go.
All of them say Air Force.
Right.
They're like, go Air Force. Dude, in like Okinawa, there's Marines on the other side of the Air Force wire.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're like, these are enlisted rooms? Like, yeah, I only have a 1-bedroom apartment. Ugh.
It's got tile. Marines, it's not the best.
It's not. Marines are like, we got linoleum from 1964.
And there's 4 of us in that room.
Yeah. There's a name carved in the wall from freaking World War II.
It's painted over.
Yeah, exactly. 5 times. Like, that much paint is over. Yeah.
Well, Senior Master Sergeant Matthew Massoth, who is the U.S. Space Force Honor Guard Senior Enlisted Leader, said, these members truly embody the Guardian spirit and exemplify the Space Force's core values. By stepping up as volunteers, they represent every Guardian who has raised their right hand to serve their nation. That's a good quote. Good job. Right. And, by the way, nearly 8,000 National Guard troops will be present to provide security support during Inauguration Day at the U.S. Capitol.
All right.
Maybe we learned. But I always laugh when they go, they're calling out the National Guard. You know how many of those National Guard are really all that familiar with weapons or crowd control? Unless you got a battalion full of Erics. These guys are like, I'm a cook. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. Like,
Here, grab your riot shield. And he's like, what?
Wait a minute. I don't have to fill sandbags? I don't know if this is better or worse.
So good on them. I think it's great that they're pulling the Space Force out there. I think it's totally appropriate.
Yeah, that's cool.
Trump will be great. That'd be great for Trump. All right. So remember when, and I can't remember the general, but remember it was like last year sometime when they were saying, hey, the guy who took over ACC, he's like, we're not playing any of this stuff.
Air Force
We're
ACC.
laying down the law. Well, now, interestingly enough, now everybody's behind that, right? So Task and Purpose shows the Air Force quote-unquote standards update includes more inspections and review of waivers and exceptions, not just for ACC. This is across the board. Now, this is interesting because you go, okay, yeah, we know where they've been loose. They've been cutting corners. They've been taking advantage where they can, like we knew they would, because not only are the Air Force, but they're military and they're young guys. So if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. But Air Force Chief of Staff This is from Task and Purpose. Air Force Chief of Staff General David Alvin announced the service leaders will be conducting more formations for uniform inspections and will review policies and standards that look at waivers and the exceptions. All right. So no more of this loose, oh, yeah. Don't challenge me. I'll go to EO shit. They're going to go, let's lock this stuff down, right? The message is the latest indication that Air Force leaders believe rank and file airmen need to more rigidly follow dress and appearance rules than many now do. So Chief of Staff Alvin said he sent out a video. I didn't get a copy of the video, but he said in the video message to the force Friday or last week, the first thing is to be able to look at yourself, look at your teammate, hold yourself and him or her accountable to ensure that you're in standards. Okay, I'm with that.
Nice.
Although the initial review of policies and standards largely relates to dress and personal appearance, the scope is not just limited to uniforms. There is a spokesman who told Task and Purpose the goal is to ensure all policies and standards are easy to understand, easy to comply with, and easy to enforce. So what he's trying to get at is there have been a number of mishaps where people have, or airmen have not either followed the TO, followed the procedure, took shortcuts here, took shortcuts there. And hell, we've covered a number of them on this show. And disasters happen, people get hurt, property damage, all that other stuff because they have taken shortcuts with the standards. So he's starting with uniforms and rolling it down. And I was like,
nice.
I can buy that because if you're going to take a shortcut on your uniform, maybe you'll take a shortcut on that TO.
Maybe like a broken windows kind of mentality, but for
a little bit. Right? Yeah,
like
sure.
If you can fix the little things, let's fix and hold the standards on the little things that are clear cut, and then you won't have big life-threatening problems.
I get it. When you're out there in the field, you're tired. You're like, I don't want to do these extra 3 checks. Let's just blow them off, right? I think I can get in that jammer and drive it, even though I haven't driven it in 30 days. Right?
Oh, yeah.
The spokesman went on to say, adhering to uniform standards is essential for building the daily muscle memory needed to uphold and enforce high standards across the board. This review is not in response to any single incident, but rather reinforces the importance of maintaining consistent standards. As airmen work together to accomplish daily mission requirements, they build trust in one another, knowing that standards cannot be overlooked. This trust ultimately translates into stronger, more effective units in combat. I was like, nice. That's it. So it's couched in get your uniform straight, but the real intent is get everything you do straight.
Yeah.
I like that. For most of the video message, Chief of Staff Alvin framed the review in terms of safety concerns. Over the past few years, Alvin said the Air Force has implemented some policies and standards that are so complex and difficult to implement that some airmen believe they choose which ones to follow. This is where the danger lies because as airmen decide for themselves whether they should comply with a tech order or safety reg or other instructions, they make the wrong choice that's uninformed. And the damage is to property, to our equipment, but most importantly, we get airmen injured or killed. That's what's at stake. I was like, good on you, Chief of Staff.
All right.
So in the weeks and months to come, we're going to be reviewing some of these policies, waivers, and the exceptions, and we're going to be reviewing them to ensure that they are easy to understand, easy to comply with, and easy to enforce, Chief of Staff said. So you know what's going to happen is that all these people, well, not all these people, there are some fringe people who are like, this is my beard, right? And they're going to run and they're going to complain. And it will be interesting to see if the Air Force empowers its leaders to go, nope, that's BS, man.
Yep.
You know, you're not really complying with what the profile says or anything like that. So,
yeah.
So that's cool. It's good to see him. Good to see him coming back in line. You know, it seems like maybe the military is getting a second wind. It's like kind of standing up for itself now. Maybe the leaders are empowered to make the decisions they should have
Yeah.
before EO office got so powerful. Because that's
Yeah.
what I think. I think
It
they're
all,
scared to death to be called to the carpet by EO or any other kind of complaint mechanism. That's what I think they don't want to do.
I think you weren't a good superintendent or commander until you had your first IG complaint. I think
Right,
honestly, like
right, right.
every soup or commander I know had at least one IG complaint, but it followed by the investigation, and then it was like, okay, this is bullshit. You're
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
You know, if it was real, then cool. But if everybody in the unit is super happy with your leadership, then
Sure,
I
you
don't
can
know if
figure that
you're
out.
on the
You're
right
always going to
track.
have the one complainer. You're always going to have
Well, you're all. I mean, you shouldn't always get your way. Like
right,
it's not
right.
your plan. It's not your vision. It's the
It's
commander's vision,
it
and let's go
seems to
with it.
me that has been less over the last 4 or 5 years, in the sense that maybe they felt they had to acquiesce to the squeaky wheel instead of just pushing down the squeaky wheel and go fall in line with everybody else. Maybe they're not getting the support above themselves
Yeah,
that they can go, hey, I called this BS and I'm not going to honor it. And then the chain of command goes, you better honor it. And
yeah,
then now they're cowed. They're
yep,
cowed into
yeah.
acquiescing to the noisy person. So maybe that's changing.
Well, remember how it used to be? Like you, I mean, we're cranky and crusty, but it was if you had an airman or a subordinate that if another subordinate came to me and was bitching about a
Yeah.
decision like you made,
Yeah. Yeah.
or and I didn't agree with it, I wasn't gonna fucking tell him. I wasn't. I'll be like,
No.
hey, that's what Marty said. That's what we're doing. We're rolling with it.
Yeah, because you
Now,
undercut, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
later on, I'll go, Marty, dude, come on, man. That was a bit. We might need to dial that back. But that was you
That's
and me,
right.
and that was
Right.
peer to peer at our level. And it wasn't me going to the next captain or next officer or next whatever. I
Right.
went right to you. And now, if you were, I don't know, if you were like, shut the fuck up, don't be a dick, I'm like, okay, maybe if it was a legit thing, then I would take it up. But after that,
That's
you know,
I always tried to push the Chiefs to teach that kind of NCO interaction.
yeah.
And they never would.
But
But I was
that's the
like,
biggest thing, right? The chief
yes.
mafia, and then you
Yeah.
had the NCO mafia. You had
Right.
like,
Right.
you guys were a cahoot. You know, you might not agree with everything, but at least you were on the same page of, I'm not going to disagree with him publicly,
Sure. And
you know?
staffs, techs, and masters should learn that relationship.
Yeah.
But it's not really taught unless you get somebody like yourself who's like, oh, I see how that relationship's supposed to
Mhm.
work. But it's not taught in any formal class. You know what I mean?
No, but that,
But the whole point of NCO business is like NCOs get together, but when you leave the room, you still
it
respect the
stayed there.
chain, even though
That's
you're
the other
pissed.
problem.
Yeah,
It had to stay there.
yeah, right,
It
right.
had to
You
stay
start
at the
complaining
freaking top
down,
three.
and it all falls apart.
No, it stays at the top three,
Hmm.
or it stays at the NCO, you know?
Yeah, Air Force has
But
a hard time with that. I think the other services are more structured, that are in an easier way. Um, but and the Chiefs were directly responsible for that. That's what they should be teaching. That's what they should come down and talk about. But they never do because they just parrot. They just parrot. That's all. Anyway.
well, and then I mean, you should have realistic leadership
Yeah.
experience. Like
Yeah.
NCOA and things like that should have taught you, hey,
Right.
this is your peer group.
Right.
You
Right.
guys are one and the same. Like you guys, this, you guys should be doing this. Like these are the 10 things you should be doing as an NCO.
Yeah.
If you don't,
Yeah.
if you have a problem with it, go to an NCO that you admire. Don't,
Right. Learn from
right?
them.
Like,
Yeah.
don't immediately go up there. Go to one of your peers.
Right.
Go to, and that way you'll both learn from that situation.
Sure. Man,
But
I always push for that, and that's why I retired.
Amen. Well, I mean, we learned that lesson hard when I cross trained, right?
Well, and you came from a different background, and so did I. And there are good space NCOs, but across the board, it's just not a common thing with so many officers. You know, officers are down into that business, and it's just like the chiefs should go talk to him and go, "Hey, stay out of that. Let the NCOs take care of that." Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. You're gonna take me down a road that'll get me all upset
I
again.
got you going.
Speaking of going down a road, it looks like the Army is on its way in the good road,
Look
right?
at these guys.
I know. So already the Army hits 30,000 recruits, which is half its goal for the year. So are things coming back to the military? Are we starting to see a return to days of before when everybody was positive on the military? Maybe. This story is from military.com. The Army is already nearly halfway to meeting its ambitious goal of recruiting 61,000 active duty soldiers during this fiscal year. And they're what? They're 4 months into it already, and they've already hit half of it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The service has 30,000 new enlistments this year, an increase of 6,000 compared to the same period last year. President-elect Donald Trump's pick to lead the Pentagon, Pete Hegseth, who was in confirmation hearings today, has pledged to make recruitment a top priority, often citing cultural and political grievances as the root of the military's recent difficulties. The Army's struggles have mostly been attributed to young Americans not qualifying for service, either failing to meet body fat or academic standards. Okay. In 2022, the Army stood up the Future Soldier Preparatory Courses, training camps, it's like indoctrination camps, training camps for applicants to get up to snuff with those standards. Nearly 1/4 of the 55,000 soldiers recruited last year went through one of these courses and would have otherwise not been able to serve. That allowed the Army to meet its recruiting goals in 2024 after missing its enlistment goals since 2022. So I think that was a great idea. It's like, hey, you guys are willing, but you're close, but you're not there. Let us take you, come once a week or whatever it is. I know Marines do that for delayed enlistment. A lot of places do that for delayed enlistment. And now they've just kind of formalized it. So that's smart. That's smart. The early recruiting milestone this month is largely attributed to the service's delayed entry program, which consists of 11,000 recruits, about double the number from recent years. Now, part of that is they've chosen to be delayed entry. Part of it is they're delayed entry because they're not like making it yet, I think.
I did delayed entry.
Why?
I signed up after. Well, I signed up after I graduated, right, and that was summer. And I just knew, like, I grew up in Oregon, right? So it's not, it's not Texas hot, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna spend the holidays with my family.
That's right.
And then I'll go in January, and it's gonna be tolerable down there.
You know? Did you get any storms, or were you pretty good?
In tech school, we got,
because you get some ice storms every once.
We got ice storms in northern Texas because I went to my first tech school at Shepherd. Wichita Falls. Yeah. Ice storm for like 2 days.
Oh, well, yeah, but that wasn't basic, which is what your plan was.
No, yeah, that was
why
tech
sweat
school.
Your ass off in basic? Yeah. Is Shepherd still around?
I think so. Yeah, it's a big tech school.
No, is it?
So it's a lot of. It was dental. It was a lot of all the weapons.
Oh,
I think crew chiefs went there. Fuels went there.
Oh, damn!
We had Marines. We had Marines. We had some Navy.
Yeah.
All at Shepherd.
When I was at Fort Sill in Lawton, Wichita Falls was a great place to go party. So it was.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to Lawton, And if you didn't want to drive all the way to Dallas, Wichita Falls was your halfway point, essentially.
That was your point?
Yeah, it was great.
Man. That's desperation right there.
Yeah, but you hadn't seen Lawton, Oklahoma. So
yeah.
The service has also faced persistent delays in medically processing recruits, prompting officials to bring in additional staff and adopt a more lenient approach to minor medical histories unlikely to affect military performance. Recruiters have long complained about enlistment delays, sometimes lasting months, for minor injuries or conditions that applicants have already recovered from. As those delays continue, potential recruits are more and more likely to walk away.
Yeah.
Because you got some dumb thing, right? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
Like I broke my ankle when I was in junior high.
Yeah.
And now you can't get cleared. And now your life's literally on hold.
Sure.
And you probably have another job now.
You might make 2 or 3 calls to that recruiter who's not returning them, or is like, oh, I still don't have any information. You're like, F this. You're either going to go to another service, or you're just like, that was it.
Or you're like, I got to get a waiver.
Right.
And
the waiver. Shit, yeah, the waiver.
We don't have enough medical history to see if you do.
Now, listen to this one.
But do you think the lack of physical fitness, I mean, is that a direct correlation, or is that a correlation to the lack of PE at schools now?
Oh,
because schools, unless you're in sports,
right,
you don't really have to.
No, not really. And even if you're in gym, you just dress.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, okay, we'll walk around the track and talk with each other for an hour, and then we'll go get changed and go back.
Yeah.
So that could be. I really think it's kind of all the woke forces in America kind of playing. They never played the military down, but with all the DEI stuff inside the military, they're promoting trans performers, or they're promoting some other non-merit based success story. I think people are like, why do I want to go join that? I want to go be a badass like the old movies.
But also, to be fair, like, the military hasn't gotten a good rap lately, right? With 20 years of war for basically nothing.
Yeah.
You got a lot of people coming back with PTSD.
A lot of amputees.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And and then for nothing for the Afghanistan pullout, like,
oh yeah,
and then
horrible. Yeah,
like
that's
that.
True.
You look at that thing.
That's true.
You look at that. It's not. It hasn't been good. It's for the last 15, 20 years.
And maybe in a way it was even worse to see the effects of that war, the global war on terror, worse than the Vietnam guys had to face. They just had public sentiment about it was a bad war and we're going to take it out on the military. Yeah. Got it. But here it's like, okay, it was a war that turned out to be minimized because of that. Afghanistan pulled out. But then you elevate, these guys are all screwed up. Everybody coming back is screwed up. And you're like, why would I want to go join that? Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a damn good point.
I mean, we got low recruiting, but you also have multiple stories about mold in barracks. You have multiple stories about contaminated fuel on bases. You have
soldiers on food stamps.
Yeah.
Who the hell wants to join up if I can barely make it? You know what I mean?
I mean,
yeah, right. I'm with you.
I'm a firm believer, though, that a lot of the guys that join the military, they might say there's a handful that are like patriotism, or I always wanted to be in the military, but I think that's the minority. I think
it could be.
The military is just kind of a lost boys club for a lot of younger
I have nothing else. It's almost like go in the military, go to jail.
Well, I mean, how many people that came in mid-20s that already had a kid that were doing some other job and were like, this is not a career.
Sure.
And then they come in, they enlist then. Like there was a dozen of them.
Right. I've interviewed many of them. Yeah. I've interviewed many of them. The patriotism was last seen right after 9/11, right? That populated the military bigger than shit. But now I
Yeah.
don't think it's that. You're right. That's not the motivator anymore.
I think that dropped off fairly quickly after that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Well, sure. I mean, you get into some of those battles, and you're like, oh my god, these guys are really
well,
in
I
it.
mean,
So,
yeah.
but listen to this. The Army has also embraced new strategies to entice recruits, including allowing them to choose their initial duty station.
Wow, nice, dude.
I know. So,
Active duty?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, they're letting them pick where they go. So, if you now, I know your story because I got your story, but let's go back. Would that have made any difference to you at the time that you signed up if they said, hey, you can pick where you go?
Yeah,
You
dude.
still would have signed up though, right? Because you were
Yeah.
already going for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, where would you have picked to go?
Like Japan.
Oh, you would have, really?
Yeah.
I
100%.
would.
I had all overseas.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I had any Kona spaces.
Oh, sure.
I
Right.
had
Right.
Alaska bases and Hawaii as like the only like
Like,
US soil bases.
right, right.
But I had Germany, Italy,
Oh, I would have gone to
Japan
Germany in a heartbeat. Yeah,
because I was a
absolutely.
weapons guy. I was like, oh, we can do this? Hell yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Imagine if you could have picked where you, I mean, really, if they'd have honored where your first choice was.
Oh, that'd be great.
Now, space, you'd have 8,000 people who want to go to England.
Florida. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
what was the other one? Capone, or,
They're standing Marone back up.
Are they
Or
really?
not Marone.
Okay.
It's they're standing Spain back up.
Yeah, outside, right? Yeah. What for three? 1 Charlie sixes?
Yeah, probably. You know who's
It's
getting the first assignment?
well,
Fucking Bobby Crowley, that son of a bitch.
I was gonna say
I'm just kidding, man. I love
every
that guy.
Eglin assignment,
Oh,
what they had 1 Charlie sixes out there,
Yeah.
were all hot blondes. They were all hot. It's like, oh, you went to Eglin? And like, yeah, it wasn't that hard to get. And I was like, wasn't hard to get for you.
Look. When they read off our first assignments,
Yeah.
I don't know how it was for you, but we were in tech school, right? And we all got slotted for F-16 bases because we were in F-16 tech school.
Right.
So we were all getting F-16 bases,
Okay.
and the instructor starts going down the list. Marty, you got this. Wall, you got this. And he read it. He goes, I've never even heard of this one. Wall, you got Eielson Air Force Base, Arkansas. And I'm like fucking Arkansas. You know how
right.
I was genuinely scared. I was like, I've never been to the South. It sounds like sweaty and hot.
Right.
Like, oh, that sounds horrible. Arkansas?
Arkansas.
Oh. And then I look at the paper. I'm like, AK.
AK is not Arkansas.
Alaska, dude.
But that was cool, though. I mean, I don't know how much
I
you
was
wanted
very
it, but
excited
I know you had
after
a ball up there. But
yeah,
everybody who's gone to Alaska was like dreads it and then says it's one of the funnest assignments ever.
Because it's a remote. Like,
yeah.
Everybody's terrified of Thule. All the space nerds are terrified of Thule, or was it Cav? And the environment sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The environment sucks. Outside the base sucks. But you have like some of the best relationships at those
good point.
austere locations, right?
Right.
Because you're all suffering together. But yeah.
But it's still Alaska. It's still Arkansas.
Yeah.
That's
still
great.
Arkansas. Now, no offense to Arkansas. I have since been to your state.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful state.
Yeah, it really
I was like, I want to go back, honestly. But chiggers are a real thing. They're horrible.
Yeah.
They're not a good thing. Yeah.
But the Ozarks, despite the show, Ozarks is still pretty badass.
Beautiful.
And fairly inexpensive still.
There you go.
All right. Speaking of war and all that stuff, military.com had a pretty interesting article. I thought it was fun. So you and I are going to see how many of these songs. Now, I already know what the songs are.
Oh, here we
Right?
go.
They're not, some of them are, but some of them I didn't. But military.com went out and talked to a bunch of vets. And
Nice.
they made comments, and like the most comments they about a song, they included them in this article. So let me unscrew this. I don't know, they changed the layout here. So the first on their list was Drowning Pool. Remember Drowning Pool? All right.
Oh, let the bodies.
That was the first, like, uh, when they attached that to like predator porn. It was bodies, right? Now that was like one of the first ones I saw. But it was great. Let me see what they said about it. Let's see. Bodies by Drowning Pool, originally pulled from radio play following the September 11th terror attacks over concerns over the lyrics, is considered the modal pump-up song for a significant number of military.com readers who deployed in the early years of the global war on terrorism. While it's worth noting that repeated renditions of the song were used as a form of interrogation on detainees at Guantanamo Bay.
Nice.
In 2003, they just kept playing it over
Just
and over.
Play it loud, sleep deprivation.
So I don't know if this will pass YouTube's, but I tried to pull little clips, if you'll remember.
Yep.
So yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was attached to so many of the first videos that came out of Afghanistan. It's awesome. It's so perfect. Right? So Drowning Pool was I don't say it's like number one or anything, but do you remember him? Do you know who that is?
Nope.
That's Toby Keith.
Oh.
So Toby Keith's beloved post 9/11 ass-kicking anthem was never supposed to make it to airways, while the late country star only ever intended to perform courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. You remember that song?
Yep. Okay.
At USO shows and military performances, then Commandant of the Marine Corps General James Jones told him that the track was the most amazing battle song I've ever heard in my life and convinced him to release it as a single. So, and it took me a second. I had to hear it first. So let's hear a stanza of Toby Keith.
Yep.
Yes, I remember. Oh, look at that. That was good.
Yep. We're definitely getting flagged on this one.
Well, I was trying not to play the video.
Yeah. Are you good?
So, yeah, good song. You know, I purposely didn't put Lee Greenwood because that was one of the recommended ones, right? But I was like, okay, that's a 1984 song that's been screwed. So
that doesn't count.
When I'm Gone. Do you remember that song? Released in 2002, just as we were going into Afghanistan, by Three Doors Down.
Oh yeah,
remember Three?
I knew Three Doors Down. I knew they'd have to be on there.
Yeah. That was a sound of that early 2000s music, right?
Yeah.
So Three Doors Down, When I'm Gone. Let's see. Although the song has nothing to do with the U.S. military, the lyrics make it easy to see why troops identify with it. One Navy vet wrote, the song captured the essence of the deployment experience in terms of the fears, loneliness, bonds, and hope. And that's true. Yeah, that song can do that. But it doesn't matter. If you're deployed, whatever song you latch onto, you're going to remember that song.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
It's funny, even us going through, when we were IOC and we were sitting in servers early 2000s, doesn't feel like it's as long ago as 25 years ago, which is insane, isn't it? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Next song. How about Evanescence in 2003 when they came out?
Yeah.
You remember Evanescence?
Yeah.
Bring Me to Life. Evanescence. This Marine wrote, Evanescence songs hit a nerve for me as the deployments wore on. He said, I still cannot help getting emotional when I hear these songs today. So, I don't know how many albums they have. But... Yeah.
Yep. Why does she have so many dog tag songs? Is that like a trophy necklace or something? She's like,
ooh,
4 military dudes.
Now, this is way before like OnlyFans were setting 12-hour world records. You know what I mean?
God.
12 hours. What, 1,057?
You have to wear the Camelback just to stay hydrated. Camelback really ruining my mojo.
Do you remember John Michael Montgomery?
No.
I don't, but
as soon as you play it, I'll be like, oh yeah.
I do vaguely remember the country singer's song Letters from Home. In 2004, it became a love letter to the deployed life.
But they take it hard, 'cause I don't read the good part. I fold it up and put
The country songs are always tough.
Yeah,
work. And it keeps me driving on.
I got nothing on this one.
I know, I don't either. I was hoping you guys do it.
I'm so sorry, John Michael Montgomery.
I know. I thought
you mean nothing to me. Now, somebody out there is like, "Oh, that was the greatest song."
Somebody will say that, right? And they'll be like,
how dare he besmirch
that guy in a closet? But
JMM.
People say that about country music all the time. Of course, they're used to it, right?
Closeted country fans.
Like they listed. It was funny. The article also listed Lee Greenwood, of course. I did not realize that his song was. He did that in 1984. I had no idea it went back that far. I don't think I heard it until 9/11.
Oh yeah, no, I never heard it until that era, that time.
Yeah. But and then they listed a couple of other songs like Creed, and so I was like, that's a nom song. You can't do that stuff. And then War Pigs, I was like, that's not even appropriate, you know.
Yeah.
But this one is totally appropriate.
Oh, yep.
So before I only played a little snippet of this.
100%. This is it.
Trey Parker said that America has this role in the world as a dick. Cops are dick. You effing hate cops, but you need them because they're assholes or terrorists. You gotta have dicks. People who hunt down terrorists. And I think that is a pretty strong thing to assert, actually. That's what he said about this song.
There was a whole monologue in this movie, in Team America World Police, where it's talking about dicks and assholes and pussies. Right.
So it sounds like it's right out of that.
Yeah. But assholes shit on.
That's the one part of that whole movie.
Oh my gosh.
Are you serious?
It's kind of valid. It's kind of valid.
So let's get really banned. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I haven't heard it in a long time. So.
Yep, perfect.
And I cut the next part off because you know how bad that next part was.
Oh man, so good.
So pretty interesting, pretty good article, really. You know,
I like it.
For pulling some of those old songs, and it's wild when you go, all right, these are Creedence Clearwater Revival is used in every Vietnam song or Vietnam
100%.
movie, right?
Fortunate Son.
Right,
Yep.
right. There wasn't much in the 80s, not much in the 90s. Desert Storm wasn't long enough to have any songs dedicated to him.
Yeah.
But the GWAT, the Global War on Terror, really had a pretty good run of songs, right? And I thought that was a pretty good rundown. And it was 20 some years ago, which is sad to say.
But I think those songs, man, they have the ability to take you back to right when.
Yeah.
Right. There's certain songs where I hear them and I'm like, oh, this is a great song. Oh,
Right.
I was at
Right.
this place during that. And I'm like,
I'll give you an example. When I went to jump school in 87, right?
Yeah.
And it was the first time, I was a ROTC cadet. Obviously, if you talk to anybody, jump school is not that stressful. But it was when you're like, this is my first foray into real stuff, right?
Yeah.
Into a corporal who hated me because I had a C for cadet on my helmet. And he just hated me for that. I was scared to death of this son of a bitch, right? But we made it through, and me and a couple other buddies, and the song that just came out was The Whispers, Rock Steady, and we were part of Delta Company, The Rock. And so every time I hear that, I'm like, shit,
Takes you
it goes right back to that spot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What's a song example of that takes you back to a military place?
Man, for some reason, I know this is going to sound, it's not hardcore military. I know that.
Yeah.
But there's that Jack Johnson Brushfire Fairy Tales. That was going on. Yeah. 100%. I listen to that song. Yeah. Right back to Vandenberg, right back to tech school.
Oh, no way.
That was
really?
Playing consistently during that whole time. So I always think, and then like Banana Pancakes by Jack Johnson, because that came out later. But later on, I was stationed at Vandenberg, and when Chris was pregnant with the kids, I would walk down to Kay's Country Kitchen, and they had banana pancakes, and that was one of the things she wanted all the time. So I'm like, I would walk down there, get an order to go, bring it back to the house, and
that's pretty cool.
Hang out. So it was it's not hardcore military song. I know.
No.
But those songs have the ability to instantly take me right back to that location.
That period of time. Yeah, that's the brilliance of the music. Yeah.
I mean, and you listen to. I mean, you can listen to stuff from your high school, and you're like, "Oh man, this is
right."
It takes you right back to the first car, to hanging out in the parking lot with your friends.
Well, think about it in 2003, right, when those guys first deployed over to Afghanistan, or when they started going over there, right? MP3 players were new.
Yep.
There was no streaming music, so it's whatever you brought with you.
Yeah.
And that I remember my dad in one of the last years that he worked for State Farm, he won a prize of like an MP3 player. He's like, I don't even know what the hell this is. It was a Rio.
Oh,
it had enough for 10 MP3s on it. 10 songs, but no skipping, right? It was like, oh, look at this. So imagine if you go over there, if they let you bring like a CD collection or something like that, but it's limited. So whatever you brought,
the sand and everything, it's going to get trashed.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and
whatever you brought, you're going to love it or you're going to hate it, but it's going to bring that memory to you.
But you're with the same crew of guys also.
Yeah.
So you're going to get forced to listen to Three Doors Down, like to get pumped up. Or there's going to be that guy that's listening to country music. So you might not be a fan of that country music, but your crew that you're with,
it will still
they're like, okay,
a
fine, or he's got the MP3 player, so we got to listen to that stuff because I don't have one yet,
As good a song as that
Right.
Evanescence one is, if you hear it for a year, it'll be the worst song you ever heard.
Right. But it'll take you right back.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Right.
almost like some songs can be PTSD inducing.
Yep.
But almost any song, if that's all you have, because I don't know how much AFN was blasting songs out there,
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a good article.
What's a high school song for you? Like,
a high school song?
Or like growing up, I loved the Jimi Hendrix Blues album. So I can listen to any one of those songs and I'm like, right back to my parents' basement. Or like I was sneaking Midnight Marauders, Tribe Called Quest.
Wow, look at you, man.
Because we weren't allowed to listen to music with cuss words. So I had my
that's the cult you were in, but up there, right?
Yeah. Well, my parents didn't like cussing.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I had on one side of the cassette was Scorpions Blackout. On the other side was Def Leppard, Pyromania. And the tape never came out for almost a year. It would just play, flip, play, flip, play, flip. And I was like, perfect. That was perfect. So every time I hear it, any song off of any one of those albums, I was like, oh yeah, I'm right back in 1985.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good times, man.
That
good trip.
Good time.
Let's call it end up, buddy. Let's
man.
And let's trash our non-existent podcast mates who aren't here. Anna, boo for being tired. Eric, I hate you for being retired. And Juan, I hope your hair is even curlier next time I see you.
Dude, that hair last time, right? I'm in no position to talk, but
it was just gorgeous, wasn't it? It was lustrous.
It was a lot.
I wanted to run my hand through his hair.
Oh, man. But
I might come back with a big Soul Glow hand.
Yeah. Soul Glow. Like just glisten.
He was. Yeah, he was. I want him to carve a message into my head. I wonder what he could do.
Yours?
He has the skill to do it. Yeah.
You could do that.
I'd do it. I'd do it for the podcast. What if he could do Late for Change or In the Side of My Head?
Oh, man. The Space Force Delta.
Oh,
easy.
All right, Juan, we got a challenge for you. Let's see if we can do it. I'll do it. I'll have him do it.
You can't mess up those beautiful gray hair.
Yeah, it'll be all pink in here.
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell's the matter with your head? I'll be like, I don't know. I've been drinking. I turned pink. The Asian rosacea.
Yeah.
On behalf of Jake and I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. And make sure next week that you are not late for changeover.
Oh, there you go. That was pretty quick on that one.
Yeah, thank
you.
And everyone listening and watching out there, thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Let us know what songs take you back.
Yeah.
That would be cool to hear.
Whoever AC Slater is who comments on all our podcasts, let us know what song is the biggest military memory for you. All right?
That would be awesome.
That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to see. So, thanks, Jake. Always reliable. And we'll see y'all next week.